morning, good evening, everyone. This is Luda Kopikina with GAI Insights. Welcome to Daily AI News Review. We are reviewing articles every day, six, seven articles, and we're rating them essential, important, and optional. The articles are at gaiinsights.com/articles. As we proceed, please follow along and let us know whether you agree or disagree with our ratings. Today, I have Ankaj and Tim from our regular crew, and Paul will probably join in a couple of minutes. Let's proceed to the first article. Ankaj, please.
Sure, thanks, Luda. So the first one that we have for today comes from Google, and they have introduced Gemini 2.5 computer use model.
Yeah, joining a crew of models from every major provider with this computer use. What did you think about this, Tim?
I thought this was optional for the AI reader. If you're a Gemini shop, maybe it's important. Again, it's great, and the testing and verification they did looks really great. It's a catch up though. I mean, every other major platform can already do this kind of thing. And so this is, Google playing catch up here, I think, and just adding a feature that has been out for quite some time. So, maybe I could be arm twisted into important because again, it's a major player in the market. And certainly if you are a Google shop, it's much more important. But if you're not a Google shop, then this is a product announcement, and a catch-up product announcement at that.
And not as developed as one would like, right? This is only for the web. It doesn't yet work on
Right.
the laptops and the like. So they haven't really done this properly, but they pushed it out as a beginning. So what did you think, Ankaj?
Luda, I'm with Tim here. I think this is Google has been late to computer use, and they have trained their existing model to do this. So not sure how effective this is. But yeah, it's coming from Google. They are an important player in this space, so maybe important for that reason. But certainly they have been behind OpenAI, Anthropic, and a few others in the computer use space.
Yeah, I was in the same place you were. Optional to important. Important because it's Google and because it has a number of users and it's worth flagging. Paul, I see you driving over there or somewhere. What did you think? Can you talk?
I can talk. Yeah, not driving in an Uber. Optional.
Optional. Yeah, okay, let's mark it as optional because it's really half cooked, to tell you the truth. So it's optional. They need to do a better job. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Sure, Luda. So the next one comes from Inclusion AI. That's the Ant Group arm, which is focused on achieving AGI in China. And they have introduced Ling 1 trillion parameter model.
Yes, Ankash, if you could review it, that would be great. But Antling is the group itself is a multi-billion-dollar Chinese company that has a lot of assets. They've been investing very heavily in AI. They put an AI International into Singapore, and they've been really shaping it to go public. It's already $3 billion in revenue, and I think they will take it public very shortly. They're positioning to do that. So a major player of, putting it in Singapore makes it more secure and the like. So it's an interesting entry. What do you think, Ankash, about this one?
Yeah. So this model, Luda, particularly Ling 1T, it's a trillion parameter non-thinking model. So it's not a reasoning model, but it is designed for efficient reasoning and scaling. So they have a Ling 2.0 architecture, which this model uses. It has been pre-trained on reasoning-rich tokens, and that to 20 plus trillion tokens. And it uses a new technique which they have titled EVO COT, which is evolutionary chain of thought to boost reasoning depth. It has a good context length of 128K and has good performance across major benchmarks. But still, I would say another model release, not from a very major player in US at least. So optional for that reason, Luda.
Okay. Yeah, the performance is quite impressive. And they have a whole bunch of series that I didn't realize. There's a Ling series, the mixture of expert models. There's a Ring series, thinking models, Ming series, multimodal models, and experimental, the mixture of agents, experts. Really interesting push. What did you think, Tim?
I think, yeah, really interesting. There's part of me that wants to push for important because there are so many innovations in here just to be aware of that for the AI leader. Because remember, important means read it if you can and you have time. You should read it, but not urgent. And that's sort of the category this fits in because there are so many innovations here. So, and it also points out a couple of meta issues. One that we've talked about quite a bit, which is that China is doing all of the significant innovation on the algorithmic and open source front. So the detail in this article, the fact that it's completely open source, is really interesting. It's not relevant for most day-to-day AI leaders because it's really more relevant if you're building foundation models or tuning foundation models, which is a small subset. But the size of the model, the use of Mishra's experts, the various ways they hook together current state-of-the-art algorithmic things like group-based attention and other things, and the way they've hooked them together. So algorithmic innovation is a big key. That's the other big idea here. As I've been saying for a long time, is, you know, the shoes haven't dropped. Big shoes have yet to drop. And this is a bit, you know, this is maybe a big shoe. It's a Chinese model, so a lot of US companies will stay away from it. But the algorithmic innovations are pretty important here, given how much good inference they got at fairly efficient computer usage, and the size of the model is staggering. So just a whole bunch of really good things in here, the quality of the data going in, et cetera. So I would tend to give it kind of an important with that, you know, this is for general purpose reading and understanding where the markets are going. You know, it's interesting. And again, we need to pay attention to what the Chinese are doing to at least learn from them.
Yeah, I was with you, Tim, actually. I was between optional and important, but looking at performance, looking at the foundation they've built, and looking at the fact that they are doing this from Singapore rather than from China, actually, yeah, I want to push it into important just for awareness purposes, if nothing else. Paul, what did you think?
Yeah, 100% important. I agree a lot with what Tim said. We've seen this story before. I remember back in the drone area, all the highly confident Valley firms thought they were going to win, and they got absolutely crushed by the Chinese firms. And I think this is another indication that we should fuel the bait. Or the same thing going to happen in 5 years here, because it is breathtaking. And Akash, is this the first trillion parameter model we've seen?
I think so, Paul. I think GPT-5 is somewhere in the vicinity, but they haven't
didn't publish
explicitly
it, yeah.
stated.
The closed source models don't publish the actual number of parameters. I suspect, right, that the state-of-the-art closed source models are probably around this area. But again, the fact that they only had, you know, a small fraction of those active at any point and were still able to get state-of-the-art performance is what leads to their great efficiency. So it's a trillion parameter model, but it doesn't take that kind of compute power on inference time.
All right. So let's put it as important and proceed. Ankash, please.
Sure, Luda. Okay, the next one comes from VentureBeat, and it talks about AI21's Jamba reasoning 3 billion parameter model, which is redefining what small means in LLMs. It provides a 250K context window on a laptop.
Yeah, I rated this as optional because I think it's very crowded space. The way they're positioning it at AI 21 is that it's mainly because there's an intent or desire to move inference to devices to free the data centers, to free up the data center space. I don't necessarily buy this, and it's such a crowded space. And so, admittedly, in the article, they say that, look, it can do certain things on the edge, like create an agenda, but more complex things will still have to go to the cloud. So I just don't see this being a major player in the space. So I rated it as optional. What did you think, Ankash?
I'm with you, Luda, on this, optional for me as well. But I think it raises an important point. More and more of these small language models, they are getting more efficient in terms of on-device capability and what they can do on different devices, whether it's laptop and smartphones as well. So there's another article from Liquid that we will be reviewing, which also talks about how they were able to achieve speed and efficiency on these edge devices. So I think from that perspective, it's an important development. But as you mentioned, Luda, there are lots and lots of players now. So Gamma, Microsoft Phi, then Liquid AI's model, and now this. So nothing differentiating here, but yes, pushing the field forward as so optional for me as well.
Yeah, but most importantly, yeah, there's a lot of people, a lot of interest in the small models and desire or thinking that this will be very important that we all agree on, but we
Right.
don't see the uptake, right? The adoption has been lacking somehow, and maybe that the models haven't demonstrated the performance that is required, but there is a disconnect here. People are going into this with new and new models, but no utilization really. What did you think, Tim?
Yeah, I think optional. Again, it's interesting because AI 21 is an Israeli company. So this is another innovation coming from outside the United States. And it's a good innovation. And I agree, this is a space where there's going to be lots of innovation. It's early. It's not surprising that there's not a lot of adoption because most organizations are still trying to figure out AI large language model 101, if you will. They're just trying to get some things done. And some organizations now are getting relatively sophisticated, maybe in that area, but there's still a long ways to go. And at least most firms aren't seeing powerful use cases for these on-device things. I think they'll be important over time, but it's not just that the on-device capability has to work. You also have to figure out how to use it in the larger context. So I think that will happen over time for sure. And there's just a lot of unanswered questions and we're early days here. So I think these small models probably will become quite important, but not yet.
And I hope all these little companies that are going after that particular market survive until the adoption time is ready. Paul, we're going optional. What do you think?
Yeah, optional. A couple different things. Yeah, yes, optional. I think there's two important categories for small models that we remember. One is on small models on device, and second is on small models not on device in a hosted or premise area. And they're very different requirements around energy and stuff here. The one on device, remember, they're in 12 to 18 or 24-month development cycles. So I'm not surprised at all we're not seeing those in production. Ramesh Raskar, MIT professor, he highlighted the small model trend that he's impressed with at our conference. Was that just last week? A recent conference, and also highlighted that really good research article in June from NVIDIA and Georgia Tech, if you haven't seen it, on large language models. But this is a product announcement. We like AI 21. They're in our buyer's guide with product announcement and optional.
Okay, optional it is. Let's proceed, Ankash, please.
Sure, Luda. So the next one comes from AWS, and it is a case study about how we exceed builds the perfect sales pitch for sales teams at scale using Amazon Bedrock.
Yeah, as always, AWS has three pieces. Why the problem, how they solved it, and what was the impact. What did you think about this, Tim?
I thought this was a very good use case. It's a little early, so it's hard to draw lots of conclusions from it, but it's an interesting use case. I gave it an important, I could almost be arm twisted into essential. It's an agentic framework where they put a lot of agents together to solve this problem, which for VXceed was scaling limited human sales capacity in emerging markets. So they're trying to get to outlets, small retail outlets or large retail outlets. And, you have one salesperson handling thousands to hundreds of thousands of outlets. And they find much better uptake with personalized approaches. But of course, it's very hard to do that for a single human being. So they created this storyteller that would create a very highly customized approach for each individual outlet. They went into great detail on how they did it, and they provided some real good early results. So again, I want to emphasize early results, but good early results on the outcomes, which were quite substantive. So if they hold up, this is a really good use case. It's pretty advanced for a lot of organizations that are just getting started, but a good one to read through.
Okay, so important / potentially essential from Tim. What did you think, Ankaj?
Essential for me, Luda, as Tim mentioned, I think it has the how part of it, how they did it, and they did it through multiple agents, and those multiple agents working in tandem with each other. So we haven't seen many use cases focused on that. So essential from that perspective, and it also shares early results showcasing that the use case has been successfully implemented. So I think a good primer for anyone looking to implement agents in their organization and achieving efficiency like these they have done.
Yeah, I was solidly important, but was also thinking maybe we should put it as essential. Paul, we're going essential here. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely essential for me. A couple different things. One is on the revenue side. Two, it's in production. Three, they're talking about personalized storytelling. That's one of the hardest things to get from a sales force. Most when you do sales training, usually try to teach a sales force at least do storytelling around your product, which is a product-centric storytelling, not customer-centric, and be able to actually come up with a customer-centric stuff. I think is a really important whole new area that sales automation with AI is moving towards. Secondly, I think it's really important for AI leaders to just skim this and understand, look at the type of agents they have. They had a branding agent, a storytelling agent here. So where this is all really going, this is a fantastic case study on a revenue producing line. So absolutely essential. And then lastly, I would say, I continue to believe we're going to see the best innovation cases at these mid-market companies. And this is a good example. I think about 300 to 400 people, but they're small enough to be able to get something turned around quickly in production so we can see where the future's coming.
Thank you, Paul. This is a good summary. Great. Essential it is. Let's proceed.
Okay, the next one comes from Liquid AI, and it is about their LFM2 8 billion A1B model, which is an efficient on-device mixture of experts model.
Yeah, this is another cool innovation. What did you think, Ankaj?
So Luda, this model particularly is a mixture of experts model, as mentioned earlier. They have 8.3 billion parameters in total, with 1.5 billion active parameters at any time. So as the AI21 model, we can run it on phones, tablets, and laptops as well. And it provides a performance which is similar to a 3 to 4 billion parameter class model. So all in all, good innovation. We have models now which can run on tablets, phones, and laptops. But then, as with the AI21 case, optional use.
Optional news from Ankaj. Tim, what did you think?
Yeah, I agree. I love Liquid AI at one level. They're MIT folks, and I love MIT. And it's a new algorithm here, a completely different algorithm for how they actually do the LLM that provides them a lot of efficiency and enables them to get right to mobile devices, low energy and high efficiency in inference. So really innovative. but it's a product announcement, and we'll see if, and again, it's on mobile devices, as we said. Most companies are still struggling to figure out how to get to first base, and this is probably second or third base. So I think optional from that perspective, but another reminder that lots of interesting things are still happening, even at the basic algorithmic level.
Yes, we're going optional. Paul, anything to add? Liquid AI is a great player in this space with completely new architecture, and they're pushing it with more and more performance. But yeah, this is an evolving space.
Yeah, definitely optional product announcement. This is their fourth announcement in I think 3 weeks now. I love the R&D, but they still look like an R&D shop and not a commercial shop yet. So we need to, hopefully this will drive some customer stuff, and these guys aren't forgotten company 5 years from now because they couldn't get anything sold.
Yeah, and the naming again here, to channel my inner John Fiocco, the names they come up with, LFM28BA1B, just kind of rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
It's engineering centric and not commercial centric.
And the article itself, like it has formulas. It's great that it highlights.
It's a good technical article, right?
It's a very good technical article. No customers mentioned. Good architecture presented. It's all very good, but this is techies talking to techies. That's unfortunate. Okay, optional it is. Let's proceed.
Okay, the last one for today that we have comes from HBR, and it talks about performance or principle, resistance to artificial intelligence in the US labor market.
Yeah, I rated this optional, but it is a tremendous effort on the side of HBR to probe the resistance to AI across 940 occupations through a very detailed study. And so what they found is that in most cases, the Americans are very open and to AI, especially as it progresses and becomes stronger. But there is a subset, about 12%, in caregiving, therapy, spiritual leadership, that it's off limits because morally the Americans believe it's repugnant. So it's interesting, but I think it's just a curiosity type of study that's for general leaders. So that's why optional. What did you think, Tim?
Yeah, I agree. And I think I said this the other day. I'm pushing back very hard to say, part of this is based on the premise that AI takes over. And for those of us who were part of the idealist generation back in the 60s and 70s, the whole idea of AI was to debug humanity because humans have lots of problems, as we can see. And the idea was that we might be able to help ourselves. So again, I would rather see us asking questions about how could AI help us rather than how do we feel about AI taking over for us. And it's commercialism is great in that sense because that's what commercialism will drive for. And commercialism doesn't have a sense of humanity at its core. It's just about profits at the end of the day. So that's a flaw. And so to me, this is, anyway, I'm giving a bit of a rant, but I wish somebody would do more research on why we think that it's a great idea to create super AI instead of superhumans.
So optional, Tim, right, for you?
Totally optional. Yeah, I could tear the study apart as well, but it's not worth the time.
Yeah, it's not worth the time. And Ankash, if you go to page 13, it highlights what are the top occupations like clergy and childcare and the like. It also notes that, yeah, right there. It also notes that in those occupations, there's lots of women in there. And so it's unintentionally might be reinforcing the bias and inequality. I don't know about this point. I mean, we'll have to see. What did you think, Paul?
Yeah, definitely optional, super optional. I mean, it's great that we're starting to see studies like this. We really need this for the AI leader on the work environment, and not these B2C ones here. We're now, we'll get their 8th and 9th GenAI 101 and 201 training today. I'm sitting outside a software company. We're doing 201, and we have 101 for ChatGPT. And it's so obvious that you've got 5 to 10% of your employees are picking this up autodidactic. They're gone. 30-40% aren't touching it. And that middle market, that middle part of the distribution curve, how do you connect with them? What are there is the important part of a path to becoming an AI first company, and that's what needs more study. But this is optional.
This is really optional. Yeah. Okay. Optional it is. That gets us to the end of our articles. Paul, any announcements as Ankash prepares the scorecard?
Yeah. Today at noon Eastern, we're having our first free ChatGPT 101 class. We are now moving to weekly free classes. Tuesday at 11 Eastern is Copilot, and 11 Eastern on Thursday is ChatGPT. We haven't even advertised them, and we've got both of them sold out this week here. So they'll be running every single week. And if you're looking to get some basics done, please join us. And on Learning Lab on Monday night, we'll be having a showcase presentation will be from Vantic, one of the sponsors of our conference.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, for today, we have one essential, one important, and the rest are optional. So thank you all for listening. Thank you, Ashish, Vivek, and others for commenting. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, Tim, for joining. Bye.